In this video, I'd like to talk about the math question of the day for Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. And with this problem, we are given a sequence in its recursive form, and we're asked to find the third term in the sequence. And problems like these are typically seen in an algebra class. It could be Algebra 1, Algebra 2, though sometimes you might see this in a pre-calculus class. It just depends on which school you go to. So at this point, go ahead and pause the video, see if you can work through this on your own. And when you're ready, unpause the video and we can go through this together. Now, assuming that you have attempted the problem, let's start working through this. And this is a geometric series in its recursive form. So this right here, n, is the term number. So when n is 1, this just tells us the first term in the sequence. Now this formula, a of n is equal to a of n minus 1 multiplied by negative 9. This is a formula that will tell us what the next terms will be. Essentially, if we know the previous term, that's this right here, we can multiply that by negative 9 to get the next term. And in this case, we know the first term. So if we're looking for, let's say, the second term, we can plug in n is equal to 2 in this case. And for the right-hand side of this recursive formula, we will get 2 minus 1, which is just 1. Now we can use this information, and we'll multiply that by negative 9. So we take our first term, which we know is 5/3, and multiply that by negative 9, and this will give us the second term in our sequence. And 5/3 multiplied by negative 9, well, we can divide negative 9 by 3, so that we get 5 multiplied by negative 3, which will simplify to negative 15. So now we know the second term, and from the second term, we can use that information to figure out the third term. Let's now set n equal to 3, since that's ultimately what we want to find. We have our function for this recursive sequence here, a of 3 now. And this is equal to a of 3 minus 1, or a of 2. And we'll multiply that by negative 9. But we know a of 2 is just negative 15. So we take our negative 15 and we multiply it by negative 9. The negatives cancel, and 9 times 15, we can do 9 times 10, that's 90, and 9 times 5 is 45. If we add 90 plus 45, we get 135. So it looks like the third term in our sequence is 135. Now, with this type of sequence, this is a geometric sequence, since from one term to the next, we're multiplying by the same number. This multiplication by negative 9, we often call this r. This is our common ratio. So once you figure out your r value, you can then figure out the next terms in the sequence. We just multiply by negative 9 to go from one term to the next. So we don't necessarily need to keep using this formula. Once we have a few numbers, we can then, for our next one, just take this 135 and multiply it by negative 9. So that our next term would be minus 1,215. We could do it again. We could multiply by negative 9 to get 10,935, and so on. We can find as many terms as we want, but this formula just helps us get started here. So our final answer for this problem is 135.